Hello and welcome to the Grim Tutors, your one-stop shop for all things Magic the Gathering. My name's Oblivion, and I'm here to tell you all about the new mechanics that are included in the Doctor Who Universes Beyond Magic the Gathering set that just released on October 13th. This is considered a supplementary set or an additional product, so these products were focused on Commander and include multiple cards and multiple Commander pre-built decks. While the set is not legal in Standard, there are a few different new mechanics as well as some returns to old favorites. So let's talk about it. First up, we have Doctor's Companion. Like Partner, you can have two commanders if one says Doctor's Companion and the other is a legendary Time Lord Doctor creature with no other creature types. Then we have Paradox. Paradox is an ability word that's used to highlight abilities that care about casting spells from anywhere other than your hand. Often, these abilities are triggered abilities that trigger when you do so. Some Paradox abilities count the number of spells you've cast from anywhere other than your hand to determine the magnitude of their effects. For example, the 13th Doctor has Paradox and says, whenever you cast a spell from anywhere other than your hand, put a +1/+1 counter on target creature. Then we have Villainous Choice. Villainous Choice is an ability that allows your opponents to make choices based on a certain set of prerequisites. They can make either choice even if nothing would happen to them. Let's look at Davros, for example. And let's say I control him. At the beginning of my end step, each opponent who lost 3 or more life this turn is going to be faced with a villainous choice. Either they get to let me draw a card, or they will discard a card. Even if they have no cards in hand, they could choose to discard a card, but nothing would happen. If multiple players are offered a villainous choice, for example, if all of my opponents lost 3 or more life this turn at the beginning of my end step, the first opponent in turn order makes their choice, and then that effect happens, and so on and so forth. Next up, we have Time Travel. Time Travel is one of the quintessential mechanics of this particular set, in my opinion. Time Travel allows you to take cards that have been put in Suspend. Suspend is where a card has been exiled with time counters on them, and once those counters have been removed, one counter at each of your upkeep steps, then you may cast the card. So with Time Travel, it says for each suspended card you own and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may add or remove a time counter from it. So for example, the 10th Doctor says that you can pay 7 and time travel 3 times as a sorcery. So that means that for each suspended card that you have and each permanent you control with a time counter on it, you may either add or remove a time counter and then do it 2 more times. Seems pretty cool, right? Then we have new planes for Plane Chase. Plane Chase utilizes cards that are planes as a kind of global enchantment with some sort of effect that's going to impact every player. So for example, TARDIS Bay, that plane for everyone is going to have the first spell you cast during each of your turns with mana value 2 or greater has Cascade. So this will affect all of the players. If you play a game of Plane Chase, you start out on one plane. Then, during each of your turns, everyone is allowed the opportunity to roll what's called a planar die. A planar die is a d6 that has 4 empty sides. One side has the Planeswalker symbol on it, you know, the fork with the little stick, kind of like a Magic the Gathering trident. You've seen it. The other has a chaos symbol, which is like a circle, kind of. A circle adjacent, if you will. During your turn, you can roll the planar die, and if it lands on a blank space, obviously you would do nothing. If it lands on the Planeswalker symbol, you get to Plane Chase, which means that you can change the plane from the one that you're on to the next one. Then that global enchantment would take effect. If you roll the die and you hit the chaos symbol, then you would do whatever the card says for the chaos ensuing. So for TARDIS Bay, it says when chaos ensues, gain control of target artifact, then planeswalk. So if you were to roll the die and land on the chaos symbol, you would gain control of target artifact and then you would change the plane. Everyone's allowed to do this for free anytime they could activate a sorcery during their turns. However, you can roll the die more than once during your turn at sorcery speed. The first roll is free, and then any roll after that is going to cost you. Your second roll is going to be 1 mana. Your third roll is 2 mana. It goes up by 1 mana every time you roll the die. So if you're really trying to get out of whatever plane that you're in, you can roll the die for as much mana as you have. Now, sometimes you may plane chase and change out the plane and land on what's called a phenomenon. A phenomenon is essentially like a plane sorcery. It's just something that happens once and then you would go to the next plane. So a Doctor Who phenomenon would be fixed point in time. With fixed point in time, this phenomenon says when you encounter it, until your next turn, if a player would planeswalk as a result of rolling the planar die, chaos ensues instead. And then you would planeswalk away and go to a new plane. If this happens during my turn, my next 3 opponents, whenever they roll the die, if they choose to, if it allows them to planeswalk, chaos is going to ensue instead. So it's a really fun way to kind of shake it up. Now, personally, I don't know a whole lot about Doctor Who. There's some robots, there's some space. I've heard the wibbly wobbly timey-wimey thing, David Tennant. These are the things that I know about Doctor Who. However, what I do know is that there are so many people very excited about this universe's Beyond set because they love Doctor Who, and we're always excited to have new mechanics enter the Magic the Gathering universe and to be able to talk to you about them. So, what are your favorite cards and mechanics from the Doctor Who set? Let us know in the comments down below. If you'd like to support us on Patreon, you can do so at patreon.com/thegrimtutors, or you can find us at any of the social medias that we're on at GrimTutorsMTG. We'll see you next time. Bye!